So now I'm going to demonstrate this fork and clone workflow on very, very simple terms, but the workflow is the same. We're just going to work on a very silly repository. So as Colt, one GitHub user, I'm going to make a new repository. And I'm not going to give anybody access, I'm going to make it public, of course, but I'm not going to make anybody a collaborator. So nobody will be able to push to this. I'll just call this fork and clone maybe. Fork, and clone. All right, it's public. I'll put a README in there, okay? And then I'll create this repository. Okay, so now I'm gonna just add, I have my initial commit. Maybe I'll do one more commit. I'm just gonna do it on GitHub to keep things simple. So this is a repo to demonstrate the fork and clone workflow. Sure, okay. We'll commit those changes to the main branch. And there we are. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is change people. I'm going to switch over to Stevie, pretend I'm Stevie. So here we are on Stevie's GitHub. I'm logged in as Stevie here, Stevie Chicks. And if I go look at Colt's repositories, I hate looking at this, I can see fork and clone. Okay. So this is the original project. I don't have access. I can't edit things. I mean, I can view it because it's public, and I do want to collaborate. Let's say I want to, I don't know, I'll add some changes. I'll make a new file, whatever it is. There's some change that I want to work on and suggest. So I'm going to fork this repository as Stevie. So instead of Colt/fork and clone, hopefully we end up with Stevie Chicks/fork and clone. And it takes a moment, but when it's done forking, there we are. I now am going to copy this URL and clone this as Stevie. So over here, let me clean this up a bit. Okay, so I'm Stevie here. I'm going to back out. Sure, I'll just clone it right here. Make sure I'm not in a repo. Git clone that URL. Excellent. So now we have this fork and clone repository. Very simple, single commit, no, 2 commits in there from Colt Steele. And now I have cloned it. But if I look at my remote, I cloned the fork. So that remote is just pointing to my fork, not to the original. So I can push changes up. I can do that right now if I wanted to. But before that, I'm going to just set up a second remote. And the reason for this, if I go back to my diagrams, is that I also want to be able to get changes that Colt might publish on the original project. Because my fork is frozen in time. I don't get changes from the original project after I create the fork. They are forking. They diverge, right? So if I want to stay up to date with what's happening and I want to get those changes on my repo from Colt's original, then I want to have a connection. I need a remote to refer to that original project repo. So I'll just go to the original. So this is the original project. I'm going to copy this URL for Colt's version, all right? And then I'm going to add a remote. So it's git remote add, and then I'm going to call this one upstream because that's a really common name, or original or something to indicate this is the original thing I forked and cloned. This is not my repository. So I'll just go with upstream. Okay, so now if I do git remote -v, we have 2 remotes. I know it's kind of hard to see them here because they're not on one line. Let's make that full screen. Here we are. Origin goes to Stevie Chicks, upstream goes to Colt's version. Okay, so now I'm switching back to Colt for a moment. Let's suppose that during all of this couple of minutes while Stevie has been forking and cloning, I'm working on this project as well. And again, I'm just going to do a very silly, simple change. I'm going to edit this, what should we put in here? Fork and clone. How about this? My favorite ice cream flavors. And then we'll do, in no particular order, mint. Well, my actual favorite is peppermint, but that's not that common. And then we'll say mint chip. And then let's just leave it at that for now. All right, so there's my new commit. I'll go with add ice cream to README. Commit changes to main. So this is happening on Colt's original repository. Stevie's fork doesn't have that. They diverged. They're not in sync anymore. This is a fork from a moment in time. So they're not attached. However, I can still get those changes because locally I have those two remotes. So if I want the latest, let's just make sure get status. Okay, everything's up to date with origin. But if I want the latest from Colt's repository, I can do a git pull, and then the remote is upstream, and then whatever branch I'm looking for, I want in main. So I'll pull down from upstream, and if I do a quick git log, we see we have ice cream now, add ice cream to readme. So now I could make some more changes on this potentially. Like let's say, what would I want to do? If I just open it over here in my text editor, here's the readme file. Let's do something like Stevie's favorite ice cream flavors. And then Stevie is a chicken, so Stevie really likes mealworm, maybe like shrimp flakes, and sunflower seeds. Okay, so we make a change, we'll add that commit. So git add readme. I'm doing this all as Stevie, blocking that, but I'm working as Stevie the chicken right now. So git commit, let's do something like add Stevie fave ice cream. Okay, not a great commit message, but I'm trying to keep this quick. Okay, so if I want to make a suggestion to the original project that they include this new commit that I've made, or whatever, multiple commits, first of all, normally we'd be working on a branch. I mean, we are in a branch, but we'd work on a separate branch, a feature branch. Just to keep it simple, I'm just working on main as well. So I don't have permission to push this up to upstream, but I do have permission to push to my fork. So that's what I'm going to do. Remember that my fork I labeled, well, I didn't label, but the default name for that remote is origin. Make that full screen as Stevie. This is what I can push to. I'm not allowed to push to this. I don't own it. I don't have collaborator privileges. So I'm going to push up to origin. Git push, and then we'll do origin. And then main is just the branch we're working on. And when that finishes, I should be able to refresh on my fork as Stevie Chicks. And we see Stevie's flavors are down there. But the original does not have it. So you can see I am one commit ahead of Colt's version. If we just open that in a tab, this is what Colt's original version looks like. So we now have this work that we could suggest. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a pull request. That's the next step in this diagram, right? So we make our changes, we push them up to our fork, and then I make a pull request to the original project. So as Stevie, I'm going to make that pull request. Thankfully, it's a very easy one to merge. I'm going to ask, please allow this in. Please, I'm just a little chicken. I want to make this PR. Bok bok. All right. So then I'm going to create pull request. Take a look here. Specifically, I'm going from main to main. That's not that common. Normally, we'd be working on a feature branch. We saw how to make a pull request from a feature branch in the last, a couple of videos ago. So it's the same process. You just change the branch. We just don't have a different branch to pick from right now. So from my fork to the original. Main to main. Here's my comment, please. Here's my pull request. All right. So I can't merge that in. I don't have access. I'm not the decider, but I just wait here and I hope that I hear back, maybe some feedback. I hope it's not just closed, but it may be. Now, as Colt, I'll go to pull requests. I'll refresh and we should see a new pull request. And here it is. I am the only person in charge. I get to review and decide if I want to merge this in or not. And let's say that I'm happy with it. So I will merge it in. Confirm. Now I have successfully merged in that pull request. So that means that fork and clone on my account, Colt, now has the new information from Stevie's. And so now we have completed this cycle at least one time. So Stevie made some changes, pushed them to the fork, made a pull request. The pull request was accepted and merged in. And so now this original repository has Stevie's changes. So this process is all over the place with open source development. If we just take a look at any big Git repository, let's take a look at Here's React, right? We can see lots and lots of contributors, used by millions of people. And if I go to pull requests, I showed this a while ago, lots and lots of pull requests. And if we look at where the pull requests are originating from, let's just pick any of them. It doesn't really matter. Sure, this one. Notice that it says this person, Ari Perkio, wants to merge one commit into Facebook master branch from Ari's particular fork and then a feature branch. So notice the prefix, right? Facebook master versus Ari Perkio. Sorry if you're watching this, Ari, you're probably not watching this. But anyway, that's a fork. So this is a fork that was made, and we can go take a look. Here is that fork. This is Ari's fork of the original React, and they made a pull request. And now they're just waiting. They're not even just waiting. There's a conversation happening about this pull request, but it's still open. So that's the basic workflow, and that's how all of these contributors are making their contributions. They're forking and then making a pull request over with their changes. And then to stay up to date with what actually changes on the official repository, remember this step, pulling down to get the latest changes from the official project repo so that you're up to date with the work everyone else has merged in.